Keep it. Good evening and welcome to CanHammer, your stop for 40K from the Great White North. Today's show is episode 74. We're going to talk all about the top 5 psychic powers. Plus, we're going to go over some Tau HQs and some lists from some listeners, as well as go over some contentious issues that we've found in our last week of 40K gaming. Because we did record last week. We wanted to give you guys that show and then catch up. So for those of you that are just tuning in now for the first time, this is a Canadian-based videocast and podcast. We do it on Tuesday nights, every other Tuesday. Today is March 8th, so of course, 14 days from now, you'll get another one. It may be AOS, it may be 40K. It's been a lot of 40K lately because that's just what our local community has been playing. This will be up on iTunes on Thursday. You can get all this information through oneplusarmor.com. And it'll also hit our YouTube channel if you want to also see our ugly mugs after the fact. So that's that. So if you want to ask questions live, you have to tune in live on a Tuesday. Or email us and we'll get to them.
Or Twitter.
Yeah. So I am your host, Chris. I am joined from Ottawa by my co-host,
Logan from OnePlus Armor, OnePlus Productions, what have you.
And we have a special guest in studio.
Hey guys, it's Josh Satin, long-time listener, first-time caller.
I think you've been interviewed before at a tournament.
No, I've never actually been on the podcast. I've been on OnePlus multiple times now for the actual YouTube, but no, never been on CanHammer's podcast.
Welcome to CanHammer Cherry.
Yeah, 40K. So we're going to start off with how'd you get in the hobby and what do you play, man?
How'd I get in the hobby? It starts way back in the day, probably 99, 2000. My cousin Shane played, and he taught me from the basics of fantasy, actually, and gave me his army, just gave it to me. So, I mean, he's just that kind of guy. And that was vampire counts. And from there, I went through a bunch of different armies all through the years, right up until Age of Sigmar. So I played Skaven the last couple of years, from 7th Ed up to 8th. And then Age of Sigmar dropped, and unfortunately, that was it for my fantasy.
So this is the famous Josh. Can you share the famous Josh quote with me?
So the famous quote that some of the guys quote around here is that I said, it took the falling of fantasy for me to realize how awesome 40K was.
Yeah.
And that's accurate because I played one list of 40K with Dark Angels years ago, and it was terrible, and I just never got interested, but always liked the look of the Necrons. So here I am now, years later, playing the Necrons.
So that's good. So this is your first Necron Codex, right? You're a 7th Ed player?
Second, actually. I had a Codex previous to this. And actually what got me into the Necrons for the newest was the CanHammer podcast with Nate Stevens. And that, I actually talked to him at Berry Bash a little bit about it, and how he kind of swayed me to certain items and play certain characters like Zandrek, who now I field my army almost always in an 1850 list. So it's a nice little circle here.
That's good. And you played, like, you missed last show, but you play in all the regular GTs around the area, right? You're trying to get ITC ranked and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So you're fairly competitive.
I am, and it started again with actually getting to know you guys probably a year ago, 2 years ago, I think.
Bad influences.
Well, it was actually, I think I did probably my second tournament almost ever was the Capital City Bloodbath, and from there I was hooked. Yeah, that's accurate. Met up a lot of great guys who are now my friends, and now I hang out in their basement. So
it's awesome down here in the man cave.
It does. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So that's good. So we're gonna jump into the hobby. What kind of hobby we've been up to, and I hope to God Logan's been doing something, buddy. So why don't you tell me your hobby the last week?
I have been doing something. So I had some paint issues. I think we talked about in the last show with my white spray can. It turns out that letting it sit upside down for like 3 days solved the problem, along with a whole ton of agitation. So
really?
I now have a spray-bombed Storm Surge, and the fun part of that was I was going to put the cap back on, walking through my living room, and my hand slipped, and I sprayed a whole bunch of paint right out into the air in the middle of my living room. So I spent a few hours furiously scrubbing my floor, and everything seems to be okay. But
was the wife home?
No, she wasn't, thank God.
She comes home. It smells like chemicals in here. What are you doing?
I had the same problem with my white as well.
Yeah,
think I mentioned that.
Chris was saying he had it happen as well. So
On a black though, I had it on
Black, okay.
A Walmart black that I used for train.
Mine was Citadel white. It was water.
yeah.
Just
Either way, that ended up working. So I'm about halfway through painting my second Storm Surge, and then I'm back to doing drone conversions for CanHammer Team Tournament.
Sick. So, have you actually got to play the second Storm Surge, or is it still a Theory Hammer thing for you?
I have. So I've played a few games with it, both proxy and with the actual model, and it doesn't make friends.
What are you talking about? It's softer than Warp Spiders.
It's softer than, well, what isn't, but it's an interesting list to play. It's very point and click, which is the big complaint people have playing as Tau and playing against Tau. Because it's one unit of marker lights and then a whole bunch of stuff that kills whatever you put marker lights on. So I do really enjoy the list though, because it's super mobile. You've got Storm Surges that move 12 inches. And you've got Riptides that move 6, but they get their thrust moves and everything. And then you get the commander and the thrust moves on the drones. And with the new Farsight Enclaves book, you can now take your signature systems from both books.
Yeah, which is weird because in the online book, it still has the old page that says you can't do that, and it says you can.
Yeah,
so
in Modka you can't, and in Farsight Enclaves, that's literally the only change is that you now can. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, I've now got 2 Crisis Suits instead of my Fire Warriors, which is nice, and it also means I can fit an Inquisitor and Servo Skulls in my list. So, lots of tools, lots of stuff to work with, so I'm having some fun with it. I have yet to lose playing the list against anyone, but I don't think too many people are having fun playing against it, though, and I can understand why.
Oh, that's a cop-out. You play hard, you win hard, and then you get better and you win GTs, right, Josh?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, Josh has gotten 0 against me both times he's played against the list.
Oh, you're one of the victims?
Yeah, it's been brutal.
But you're okay with that, right?
You know what? Trial by fire.
Trial by
That's how
fire.
you learn.
Good attitude.
That's how I learned
That's the response
all
I've
my
gotten
fantasy.
from all my opponents, but there's been a lot of upset faces while I roll the dice. The
you tried against Nick's
make
Demons?
people sad. Yeah, I have played. I think one of our recent battle reports up on the channel is against his demons.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that one. That one was posted on Frontline.
Yeah, it's up on Frontline as well.
Cool. So I guess, if that's all you've been working on is your second cheese surge,
Yep.
we're going to go straight over to you, Josh. What kind of hobby have you been doing the last little while? What are you working on?
I've actually been working on the same kind of cheese for Necrons. I'm painting 6 more race, Canoptic race. So I should, I've got one more box to go, and I should have almost 24. So 24 Canoptic race. It'll be a CAD, so non-Decurion, but I'll have basically 2 units of 3, 1 unit of 6, and then 2 of the Canoptic Harvest formations. That on top of some Lich Guard that I just finished painting probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So a big blob of 10. I'll be pretty much army-wide 3-up invul with a special character that's on order. Most of them will be re-rolling 1s. So
what special character? What's his name?
Yeah.
He's the mech
the
guy?
Super Saiyan guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's awesome.
You're going
escapes me
full
right now.
Euro trash, man. I love it.
I'm going nuts. I mean, it's going to be sort of the counter to the Tau situation where, as long as I get across, the Tau is going to be absolutely useless in close combat, and hopefully I'm just going to smack you off the board.
Yeah,
Well, that's awesome,
Coming
too.
for you, Logan.
It'll do extremely well against single surges, for sure. 2, the stomps can do some damage, but yeah, 1 it just doesn't put out enough to get through anything, and you're tying and killing everything.
But I'm going to be going against those Riptides, those
they're
Armor
gonna-
2s, looking for their Mrens. Hopefully on like, say, 12 to 18, I should be able to take it 1 or 2.
Well, exactly. You only need to win by 1 or 2 to force it to run away, and then initiative 2, it's going down.
Plus, if need be, I have actually changed the Canoptic Harvest formation to use Shred instead of Reanimation. Just Hail Mary. It's worth it.
It's worth it from time to time, yeah.
So, question: do the lash whips that you give those guys, does it affect your base initiative? No way.
No,
I didn't think so.
It's the sub-fight phase only.
Somebody was arguing that with me. Was it you?
No,
somebody else.
definitely
The
not. I know
rules
how
are
it
pretty
works.
clear on it.
Yeah.
That's a common question, though.
Yeah, I just, you guys are both here as Necrons, but I was gonna say, like, a lot of people are like, wow, why do you need 24 races? That's crazy. But as you told me, people gotta understand where he's coming from. Josh here is he wants to play Necrons and win ITC events, so it doesn't hurt to own everything from the Necron Codex if that's the one army you're gonna play with. Like Logan plays Tau competitively, he owns a good chunk of the Tau book. I play Eldar. I got a good chunk of the Eldar book. It makes sense.
Usually you just don't have one. You have two. Because if you have one, you have none. If you have two, you have one.
Yeah.
That's how it works out.
So sounds good. So I guess that goes on to my hobby, and then we'll get into the game we just played right before the podcast. So we're a little bit out of breath because it was like a rush game.
We had to run.
Yeah,
well, we did 5 or 6 rounds in an hour.
Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes.
An hour and 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, we got to talk about that one. But
Yeah, because
so what
we
did
were
do?
purposely stressing ourselves. But
But-
anyway, we're
But we also know how to play.
yeah. So I've been working on my Eldar and my Stormcast for Adepticon. Woohoo! Nothing new. I've been converting those Star Soul maces. So when you buy the Paladin box set for AOS, and everybody's like, "Shut up, we don't give a shit." You get 2 mace bits, and then I would take the axe bits and I kind of converted them because those things are pretty awesome. D3 mortal wounds on impact. It's pretty good. So that's all I've been really up to. It's only been a week, just stuff like that. And then we played a game, right?
Yep.
So you want to talk about what did we play?
So we played ITC Mission. We did number 2, which was the Relic. And it was basically your orcs against my Necrons.
Yeah, 1,500 points.
1,500 points. I took the same list I took from... I did a local tournament on Sunday. So I basically just took it and ran with it. So not much to talk about. I used a Canoptic Harvest and Destroyer Cult. No Zandrek, just can't fit him into 1,500 points, although I really, really like him. But it was different. I don't usually play against orcs unless it's Andrew Triple.
Yeah, and his Garrote army is a little bit weird.
And his is very different than yours. So
Yeah, so I took something weird. I've been math hammering. The new orc stuff came out, new formations, and I've been very depressed with trying to make a list for orcs that is good. Because as I was telling Logan and I think Josh earlier, you would build a list, and you'd be like, okay, these new rules allow these units to be better. So I said, okay, Storm Boys are faster, but the only way to really get Storm Boys in the formation is to take a formation of 3. Then they have to deep strike. So it defeats the point of having Storm Boys that can move 12, run 2d6, and then charge. It's kind of lame. So I said, okay, that's out of the question. My Storm Boys go back in the drawer. And then I looked around. You need like Truck Boys, but Truck Boys bleed kill points.
mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? I just want regular boys, 30-man units. They're hard to kill. And I'm just going to take a ton of pain boys, so they all get 5+ feel no pain. And I was running the math through, how many boys do Eldar jet bikes kill a turn? It's 40 with a pain boy in it. And I went, wow, well, if I give them a 4-point upgrade for a 4+ save, how many does it kill then? And it goes down to 20. So that means his whole army of 10 jet bike units shoots and kill. It doesn't even kill a boys mob a turn. Which is pretty good. And then you factor in that you put like Gazgul in the front or a Mega Armored Warboss or the Lucky Stick in the front. He could even get rid of like half those shots. So you could theoretically have 180 boys intact reaching the enemy line. But it's expensive. So I said, okay, it's 2/3 additional cost. So a boy is 6, +1 for a shooter. If you shooters are the better way, I believe. And then so you say 4 points more, just 2/3 of the cost. Do you get 2/3 of the wounds out of them? Because you don't get extra attacks, you don't get any of that stuff, but do they live, right? Like there's no point in having a unit of 30 boys that moves up and just gets deleted, and another unit of 30 boys moves up, gets deleted. So a lot of that logic is from 5th edition, where you would take casualties from the back. So nobody cared, they'd move their boys up. So I'm like, well, when you're taking them from the front, that friggin' sucks. So I said, okay, so I just did tons of math, and yeah, it's totally worth it to give them the 4+ save. The battle company comes in, they can't kill that many orcs. I think it's worth it, and I wanted to play test against Josh tonight, so we put it on the board, and how did it do?
Well, it actually did really well. In terms of units killed, I took out 1 unit of like Grots.
Yeah, you killed my Grots only.
It's basically he takes a CAD formation of Necrons with a 4-up, 5-up. So it's very, very hard to get through, especially with that many models, and then hopefully cause some type of panic check. And I think the only way I actually killed those Grots were you brought them on, I shot them, and they ran away.
I had to bring them on, and I couldn't hide them. It was just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the game started off, it was Relic. I screwed up in the beginning, and the whole game basically came down to this, is I was 12 inches from the Relic, obviously with Gazgul. So I moved up 6, turn 1. Then I went, shoot, I forgot to get my Relic. So I moved back, strung a guy out on terrain, But so I still moved Gasgul forward, and I strung a guy back on terrain.
At the very beginning, you move back to get your second objective for the Maelstrom.
Yeah.
So you could hold that point, which then brought you back away from the relic.
And then so I was too slow to get the relic the next turn because I had one guy in terrain, blah, blah, blah. So he was able to basically get the relic and win.
What I did was basically I moved up with the race,
Mm-hmm.
and then I declared the charge into the Gasgul's unit because I was pretty sure I could tie you up. And then right behind, sort of right in the center, I swung off to the side with the Scarabs and grabbed the relic.
With Scarabs.
With Scarabs.
Man.
Yeah,
Who
Scarabs
held it?
ruined me.
Who held it for the rest of the game.
Oh, that's insulting.
It was brutal. From there, the race tied up his main unit, and then the Scarabs just ran away with it. He wasn't able to dish out enough wounds to get through 3-up, 4-up.
Well, it took me too long to reach you, I found.
Yep.
And then, but ultimately, we wanted to have a game. I wanted to win, didn't win. But I achieved my goal, and that's that my orcs were, like, insanely hard to kill.
Oh, yeah.
And they
yeah.
performed. And even in combat, because now, like, let's say I lose a combat, I take D6 strength 4 hits. So let's say I roll 4, 2 guys get wounds. Well, one of those guys saves from his armor. Then I have a 5-up save on the last guy. I'm almost fearless at this point, right?
Yeah, I couldn't get through enough to cause any check at any point.
I was winning combat too. That's normally you go in, Gasgul kills like 2 dudes or 3 dudes, but Gasgul did nothing in this game. And then it's like, oh well, you killed 8 boys and I'm screwed. But this time I was like, well, I saved them and feel no pain. You didn't kill hardly any.
He was winning combat, but against race, I'm fearless. So I just tied him up.
Yeah.
And then the spider just kept pooping out those Scarabs. So from there, I took a unit of destroyers, deep struck him in his deployment zone, and then jumped up onto a building, so he really couldn't charge me.
Yeah, it was unfair.
And
It's cheesy. Unfair cheese against the orcs, bud. With Necrons, come on.
I mean,
We're just
you got to
kidding.
do
It
what
was
you got to
awesome.
do to win, right?
It was awesome.
And so he wasn't able to get that, and from there I held every other Maelstrom. Hold something in his deployment. If he pulled up, I think you rolled up a couple times, have 3 units in your deployments, and you only have 4 units.
Yeah, it sucked too because I'd be like, oh, I have to kill 2 units on the turn when I can't kill anybody. Then the next turn's like, get 2 objectives, and I was like, oh, I'm about to kill 3 units. Like,
yeah,
shoot. But it was all in all, it was fun, and I'm thinking Big Mech Stompa, Void Shield Generator, 3 units of 30 boys, 3 Pain Boys. That's actually, and then 2 units of Grots. I do believe that all fits.
I have
as a rude list.
I've yet to destroy a Big Mech Stompa. I can't get through that many hull points.
Well, can you imagine? I'll never lose kill points with that army.
Well, and so it was actually funny because I was at Berry Bash a couple weeks ago, and last podcast you guys or D-Man mentioned the custom Big Mech Stompa. I played against him, and he had the Big Mech inside the Void Shield, and then rolled for the his additional
shields.
saves,
Yeah,
and he rolls a 6. So I'm going to get through 3 shields, 6 of his own shields, and then I have 9 hull points to deal with. And he's
12,
12,
yeah.
and then 12, and he's regenning the hull points, and then building back up the Void Shield. So I deep struck him with the destroyers, but unfortunately by then it was like turn 3, turn 4. Destroyed the Void Shield generator, but he still was at full power.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And they just ran through my army. It was a complete tabling. Actually.
So cool. So we're gonna move on. Josh did something pretty good with the relic, and so there's weird. The relic's one of the hardest missions to play, right?
It is. I'm not a big fan of it because there's so many contradictions. Different tournaments play it different ways, I've found. And even us here, we played it slightly different, and we still have questions.
So let's go through. How does the relic work?
So the relic works is that at the end of your movement phase, unit that's touching the relic basically gains control of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't move more than 6 inches per phase, and you can voluntarily drop the relic at any point, or if you lose combat, you automatically drop it. That's pretty much really about it.
So the one thing is if you're in combat, you can drop it, put it an inch behind you,
Which I did.
and then pick it up with another unit.
So I knew that the scarabs were, if they weren't going to lose, they weren't going to win either. So we were just going to be stuck there. And so one of our questions is, does an OBSEC unit that's also touching the unit in close combat gain control of the relic? As far as I know, no, because I still had control of it. So then what I did was I dropped it outside of combat and then ran past and grabbed it with another unit.
So to go over the exact wording on this, because this is where it gets a little confusing,
Yeah, you,
right?
you have it there. So.
Yeah. So basically, it says primary objective at the end of the game. The objective marker is worth 3 victory points to the player that controls it, and then the relic. The objective marker represents the relic. These cover the rules for seizing, moving, dropping, whatever. The problem with the mission is that nowhere in it does it actually say how you control the relic. So you either go with the interpretation that the unit that has seized the relic controls it, or you go with the interpretation that it's an objective that you just happen to be able to move. So
Yeah, I almost think it should be an objective that you can move.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mission plays a hell of a lot better if you do it that way.
Yeah, because then it's like look, in our game, whoever seized it first, like if I would have got it with Gasgul's Boy Mob with the 4+5+, I won that game turn 2.
Yep. There was no way I was defeating that unit.
So
Because it's strange, right? Because it just says at the end of the game it's worth 3 points to the player that controls it. It doesn't say the player that has seized it or has a model that has the relic. So
or if you're within 3 inches.
yeah,
So,
which is the definition of controlling an objective, right?
Right.
So my understanding and the way I usually play it is that it's a normal objective that you just happen to be able to move, but it's definitely not worded too well. So something to think about when you're playing your games. Let us know how you guys play it. Definitely be interested to hear some interpretations that aren't on DACA.
DACA has no credibility in any conversation with me.
Well, I know, for example, when Reese and those guys at Frontline play it, they treat it as an objective marker. So that seems to be the closest way to the rules as they're written, perhaps not as intended. But in my opinion, at least, it makes the mission a lot more playable rather than just a mission that's not worth playing.
Well, it needs to be in ITC because...
So then let's say I pick it up with my race.
Yep.
And then it's the last turn, and you have tank, skimmer, whatever that has OBSEC. That means you can just move up 12, boost 6, and you're within 3 inches and automatically get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's terrible.
You have to circle it with your dudes and then do a death
you have to bubble wrap it. I mean that's sort of a different type of problem, right? Like that's something that you can address through the mission design. That's one of the ways that I think ETC or Adepticon, I don't know, either one, where you have the double relic, makes it quite a bit better to deal with. But that is a good example. I mean, that's definitely a case where you have to bubble wrap it, but it's also the kind of scenario, like all the rulebook scenarios have problems like that, though, right? Because it's a very simple, one-dimensional win condition. So when you combine relic with something else, whether it's kill points or maelstrom or something, it balances that out a bit.
Yeah, I've actually had to get the ruling for holding the relic, I think, in 2 tournaments. I had to ask the TO who actually can control it.
It's because you don't table your opponents.
Yeah, that's true. I don't try hard enough, I guess.
I'm just teasing. So we're going to move along a little bit here. Next is we have news and new releases. So the first set of news is that we already talked about this. iToySoldiers.com has sponsored the CanHammer Team Tournament. And in order to get his advertising server up and running, he has offered the CanHammer podcast free advertising on his website. So what you can do there is you can manage leagues, you can manage events, tournaments, you can log all your stats for games, you can see how other races are doing against other races, things like that. So check it out, please, and sign up, iToySoldiers.com. My profile is garbage, and I have to update it. I've been so busy the last 3 weeks, but I'm going to sit down and fix that up pretty soon. It's definitely a cool site, and he's Ontario-based, so at the very least, just check it out and make that decision for yourself. As I said, they gave us free advertising, so we felt that we should give them some free advertising. So next, we're going to move on to some AOS news. So we're going to start off with you, because this affects you 100%.
I do. I dabble a bit in Age of Sigmar.
Even though you said you didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first. Everybody, Logan, I think if you remember you guys were trying to do a comp system, and I ended up phoning and just rage quitting on everybody.
Well, our comp system didn't go too well for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
our comp system didn't favor the weaker troop options.
I played Skaven, and so everybody took Skaven took the comp system and went with a wounds pool, which then at that point shelved 90% of my Skaven army. I didn't take. Why would I use slaves? Why would I use clan rats? It was a big muddle. So I let the dust settle. And just tried to see, what comm system would overcome over everybody else's. And so now that it's starting to become a little bit more popular, especially in my area, I'm going to try and get something going again. The newest Battle Tomb has dropped, which is Skaven Pestilence. So its book, I think, is available for pre-order right now.
Yep. $40 hardcover.
Yep. As well as the new re-release of the Skaven Pestilence clan, which I'm kind of interested in. Originally, I did run them with the Censor Bearer. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're coming out with now. The whole new battalion has just come out as well. And they basically rebased a lot of their models.
Yeah, the cool part is that, and this is kind of a sign for things to 40K, as they re-release these armies or new battle tomes or like Space Wolves or Wolfen, we're getting that new Start Collecting box. Because at first we didn't get a lot of them, we just kind of got a mix mash. And so now it seems like if you hold out a little bit, your faction in AOS or 40K will get a decent cheap starter box that you can potentially, except for the Orc one, because it's garbage, buy 2 or 3 of. And for $200, and if you get a discount for $150, you can literally get like a 600-700 point army going.
Yeah, it's a $100 box, and basically it's giving you the Censor Bearer, which itself is $79 or $69. Like
it's free. It gives you the plague sensor free, the big Screaming Bell equivalent.
So like everything else, it's these $100 box sets are anywhere from $20 to $80 savings, 100% worth it.
Oh yeah.
So, unfortunately, I already have everything.
Yeah, so you don't need it, but
no, I don't really.
It's good for the newbies. The other big news for me is that the Stormcast is getting cab units. They're getting a cab box that splits into 4 different kinds of Dracoth riders. So they're riding the little half dragons with no wings. $65 though US for 2 is the going. Yeah, that's a little bit rough. That's the rumor, though. That's not official on their website. They're not up yet. Plus, there's a big hinted monster. So if you look at the leaked photos, you look in the background, you can see these big, like, wavy wings type thing. And they're supposed to be like a star drake. Because, everything's star. Everything's... Should be a storm drake, because Stormcast Eternal.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Star drake should be something for Seraphon. And then they're getting a new battle tomb called Extremis. And a lot of people are pissed off at this, and they go... Looks like the Stormcast are the new Marines because they're getting chapter books. So the Extremis is like, I'm assuming, a subgroup of the Stormcast Eternals. It's an 88-page book, 2 battle plans, 4 battalions, 7 war scrolls. And that's pretty cool. And then they're also releasing a new sculpt for the Trumpet Knight. So instead of putting the trumpet in his eye, it's in his mouth with a sword.
Upgrades.
What's going on the left?
Huh? Hey, what's that, Sonny?
Okay, so that's it for AOS news.
I did just want to chime in. Speaking of Skaven, because again, I'll probably buy the book, even though I'm not really playing it right now, just because I'm a huge fan. I am, yeah. I did notice something, and it's on the Vermin Lords. So they're putting out the Corruptor on the round base, but if you look, no other Vermin Lords are available
Yet.
Because
they're going to do all the sub-clans, I guarantee it.
Maybe?
Because it's one box, so technically they're all available.
Yeah, technically, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so don't worry. Don't get worried. It's going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to hand it off to Logan, talk about there hasn't been a lot of 40K releases in the last week, but why don't you talk about them?
Yeah, so there's a big one that's near and dear to my heart as a very old school Tyranid player, is the new Deathwatch Overkill box, which has Gene Stealer Cult. They're back, finally. They don't have a limousine yet, but pretty much everything else is out there, except for I don't think the old Patriarch isn't out again yet, but most of the rest is, which is pretty awesome. So it's a new box game, kind of like what was the last one that came out?
Well, the Horus Heresy one, which is
Betrayal at Cal,
the Assassin.
Yeah. So it's a $200 box, something like that, $230 if you get the book with it. And it comes with a ton of models. It's a whole bunch of Space Marine characters and a whole bunch of Gene Stealer cult stuff. The rules for them are questionable at this point, so I may let you guys dive into that a bit because you got the White Dwarf there, which has the new rules.
Yeah, so we're gonna start. We're not gonna go unit by unit because we're really behind right now. But so basically, you get a couple HQ choices for the Death Watch. You get a chaplain. You get a librarian. The chaplain, I do believe, is Ultramarines, and then the librarian is what's that chapter from Dawn of War?
Oh God, I have no idea. That game
They're
is so
su-
long.
they're s- they're supposed to be. Oh no, he's Blood Angel. He's Blood Angel. I thought he was the other chapter. Then you get a tactical squad with a Space Wolf, Dark Angel, Ultramarine, Iron Hands, and then they brought back it's a frag cannon. And this is wicked. So the frag cannon is either a template, strength 6, assault 2 rending. So two templates, strength 6 rending, or a solid shell, which is 24 inches, strength 7, AP3, assault 2, which is pretty awesome. And they have special issue ammunition, which is the same as most of the Vanguard. I don't think there's anything special in there. Then, of course, you get an Assault Marine who's a Raven Guard who has 2 Lightning Claws. You get a Blood Angel guy with a Hand Flamer and a Chainsword and a Jump Pack. And you're just like, so somebody online was saying this. They're like, isn't it ridiculous that the Dark Angel on foot has a Power Sword and the Blood Angel with the Jump Pack has a Chainsword? Like, who's the idiot that designed that? Like, I heard that online. I was like, yeah, that's so funny. There's a Salamander Terminator with a Heavy Flamer, Mastercrafted Power Fist with a built-in Melt-A-Gun.
That's pretty
And then
sick.
and then there's a con model. It's basically a mounted White Scar that is like the perfect con.
Yeah, it's not con though in the actual rules, but yeah,
No, it's
it is
Jitek
perfect.
Saberu.
Yeah, it's
Jitek.
it's a Japanese instead of a Mongolian con. But yeah, no, the model is perfect. So no longer is your con model going to be a random dude on a bike. There's a really
Yeah.
now the problem with these guys from what I saw from the rules is they've got some neat stuff, but you can only take them as the formation, and they all end up as one unit. They can never leave the unit.
You can take them as a CAD. There's nothing that says you can't take them as a CAD or an allied detachment in here.
The individual guys.
Yeah, because
Okay.
some are fast, some are elites, some are HQ, and
Okay,
some are
I gotcha.
troops.
I mean,
So I think there's
the
only
big
one
issue
troop.
with them is that they're all considerably worse than just building out your own character and taking it as.
Well, I'd agree.
as
It's
a standalone
535
choice.
points.
Yeah, they're really cool though. I'm sure they play really well in the game. It's always fun to have options, and the models are great. So
It just means that if
good
you
stuff
paint
there.
them and you want to go to like a 750 tournament, you can kind of do something cool, add in a
Oh yeah,
scout squad. It's neat. I just think they're fantastic. They're full of character. But you know what? To tell you the truth, they're the worst part of this box set. The best
oh
part's
yeah.
the Gene Stealer cult
Yeah.
models.
Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. So I got to give a little bit of background on this. So I used to live overseas in Europe when I was younger, and I was in France. So I don't speak French, and I didn't speak French. So my only access to English GW stuff was online, and this was back in 2000. So Portent was the only place to get news on the internet. And I was good buddies with one of the guys who ran it. So I found out about Gene Stealer Call because I was googling around. This is back when Epic was still a thing as well. So there were all these cool Tyranid things. This is in third edition when about a year before Tyranids were starting to get new models. I found out about Gene Stealer Cult, and I didn't have any of the rules for them, but I went around. I thought the models were really cool. I thought the fluff was great, so I bought a whole bunch of stuff. This was all on eBay, and none of it had been in production since the mid '90s, so it all cost a friggin' fortune. It was all really bad pewter, and it all took months to ship over to me. So I had about 700 points of Gene Stealer Cult. And to put that in perspective, these guys, like the characters, were about the same cost as really, really cheap guardsmen. So it was a whole ton of stuff. I never had the Patriarch or the Limousine, but I had every other model, every other sculpt, and I had them all painted up.
Where are they now, man? Where are they now?
Somewhere in the U.S. with someone. I sold them many, many years ago for quite a good profit, actually.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
I would just-
now they're all back in plastic though, so I'm happy. It's great to see them back. You guys can talk about the main rules for it, but overall, there are some big problems with them because rules is written they can't ally with it.
So that's not true. It basically that's just DACAing.
No,
They are designed to
well,
ally with NIDs.
the intent is very clear. Rules is written. They can only ally with themselves, which is
They
the
ally
big
with
problem.
NIDs. I'm not here. I literally the second anybody argues that, I flick a switch in my head and I go, nope, they ally with NIDs,
Hmm.
and I move on. I don't tolerate DACA-ness in my life.
It's
So
a
that-
good example of GW not having editors.
Yeah.
Go
So
on.
they're nothing too great. Like rules wise, there's nothing that really stands out. They got a couple characters. I really like how um, I forget what stage they're at. They're like the Faithful Throng. It's like they look very much like one of the Ridley Scott, the new Aliens movie where they're overseas.
Yeah.
And there's like the really big guy. They look a lot
Looks like
like
the-
that. A lot of inspiration. And if you look at their spacesuits, it's like dead out of Aliens. So this is definitely like a rip off in a good way of the Aliens
The
franchise.
stuff from
Yeah, they're very
Yes.
Geiger. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if what that called.
well, HR Geiger. That's the
yeah.
So-
all the art for it.
built. Yeah.
It's not really worth going through the rules. Their formation is pretty awesome. You have to take one of everything. You get infiltrate and stealth on the whole formation. So you basically set up an ambush. They can be set up anywhere on the table that's more than 1 inch from an enemy unit, whether deployed units can draw a line of sight to them or not. So you can basically get right in the grill of people and do quite a bit of damage. But they're very squishy in general. So I'm sure we'll talk about them in the future when we've played games against them.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to go through the rules. We're not exact. It just came out today, the White Dwarf for me.
Yeah.
So
So the really quick rundown is with the formation you get stealth and you can have a turn one charge stealers. So it actually makes them usable. Good is questionable, but way better than they are now, which is nice.
Well, Gene Stealers in combat are one of the nastiest things in the game.
Oh yeah. So now that you can actually have them live through a turn and charge is pretty awesome.
But as I said, like I have 2 Space Hulk boxes, and then you get this set, and now I basically have a Gene Stealer cult army.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I can buy those models outside of the box, maybe I'll buy that half of the box, split it with someone or something. Those are models that I will buy just because I want them, not because I actually play Tyranid. So I will buy them, I will paint them, and they will live on my shelf.
I think they'll be re-released. I think it'll become a faction. I think you'll get a
I'm pretty
set
sure.
full.
Yeah.
If they sell, if this sells. Cool. So that's it for 40K. There's no real Forge World news that's important.
There was a new AdMech Titan or something they brought out. It looks sick. I can't remember the name of it, but it's up on the Forge World site and looks pretty
Yeah.
nice.
I don't know. I was kind of like I was hoping for something that would like change ITC play. Nothing really came out. ITC news number 1 in the ITC rankings is a Team CanHammer club member, Diogo Pita. Number 2 in the ITC rankings is Joe Duca, and number 12 is myself, who is number 9 until fairly recently.
For anyone who doesn't know Joe Duca, he's the captain of ETC Team Canada this year. Buddy of ours.
Yeah, so a lot of Canadians in the top. Dan Platt's like 3rd,
Mhm.
4th.
Yep.
So a lot of Canadians in the top 20. 25% of the top 20 is Canadian. So you Americans got to get your stuff together because
I'm in the top third of overall rankings out of 3.
this is all tongue in cheek, of course,
It
because
is. There are
there's
only
only
two
been
ranked events, yeah.
there's like 4 or 5. It's just there's only
Yeah, there was one.
there's
on the,
only like
Well,
10
yeah.
people that have been to 2 ranked
Yeah,
events.
there was one on the
Exactly, that's what I
weekend.
meant.
There was one on the weekend, and I think it bumped me down a bit.
It made me regret not going to Barrie though, because if I would have went to Barrie and done well, I'd be in that first place
Yep.
spot.
Lots to come, lots to go.
Yoga stole it from you.
Oh, and then the other big news, I guess we'll talk about it in our event spotlight, which is the next segment, is that CanHammer Team Tournament is a GT ranked event under the ITC rankings. So we hit 44 players. So we basically blew away the GT marker. So for the ITC rankings, you're going to get a lot of points for that. We do have openings for 4 more people. So if you are in Ontario in the end of April, or it's like the first weekend, April, May type thing, like end of April, early May. If you're in the Ontario region and you want to play a GT size event this early in the year to get rankings points, feel free to sign up. Go to CanHammer Team Tournament. Just go to canhammer.com and then click on the CanHammer Team Tournament link because I didn't pay for a URL, so it's really long.
Yeah. Highly recommended event. So that is one team of 4 people that there's space for. So
Yeah.
definitely check it out. It's a ton
Yeah,
of
but
fun.
if you-
We'll all be there.
We will, like, if we get 4 people that are individuals, we can just make a team
Yeah.
and kind of sort, like if we get like 6 people interested, we could just make a decent team out of them.
So here's the question while we're on the note, because this is going to be an ITC ranked event and it is a team event. Is it going purely based off individual player score for how you're doing ITC rankings, or are you taking team score in there somehow?
Nope, it's individual player score.
Okay.
So we do understand that some people will take soft because if you're going as a team of four, only one of you is bringing your cheesy Eldar, so the rest of you will not be. And so we understand that that might make it harder for you to win with. And we're going to go basically overall score, and then it's going to go. Let's say there's a tie. Let's say there's four guys that win all their games perfectly, which shouldn't happen, but let's say it does. Then it's going to go to team placing
Okay.
as the tiebreaker. So it should be very straightforward. And let's face it, the better players are going to win their games bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You might get the odd really good player that ends up getting in some bad matchups. But let's face it, if you played a straight up head to head ETC game, you're going to get those bad matchups anyway. Sorry, ITC ranked event. You're going to play the mirror match Elder Army and potentially lose. Like, it's going to happen. So I don't see it as being a problem. I know it's a little bit weird for some people, but I think it works and it helps build our community locally because we don't have the events that other regions have to call on. If you played every ITC event in Ontario, there's a good chance that you wouldn't actually, unless you won them all, you might not be top 10 or 20 in the
Yeah, 'cause
rankings.
we have no majors, right?
As of
Well,
yet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my next one. So CCBB, we are upping it. We're moving the cap up to 70 players. The reason for that is that we need 58, and our cap was at 60 before. And so we want to make sure that we make spots available so that we have a decent player pool after dropouts because we're committed to trying to push this to be a major event. So if you sign up for CCBB right now, there's a really good chance it's a major event, and it's one of the, six of the year. Well worth coming. And one of those six is in England. So um,
I'm signed up.
you're signed up. It's going to be a good
Well,
time.
I'm TOing, so I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be That's the thing, too. My 9 Warp Spider units will not be in that event.
There you go. Incentive to come.
Plus,
Maybe I'll
incentive.
borrow it.
Logan's Double Storm Surge, not in
Not
the
gonna be
event.
there. Yeah.
Maybe I'll borrow it.
Cool. So the next segment, you're not borrowing it. I'm just kidding. You can borrow it.
All right.
The next event, that'd be awesome. Actually, you should borrow
That
it.
would be kind of fun.
Is we have an interview with the London GT organizers over in England. He sat down on a Sunday. We did about a 15-20 minute interview. I'm going to be splicing that in right now. So if you want more information, you visit London 40K GT, I do believe it's .co.uk. His name's Zach, and so enjoy that interview. For those of you in the live stream, you get to enjoy a 5 to 10 minute break, and we'll be right back. back. So hopefully you guys
back.
enjoyed. Well, that's a Garage Hammer reference right
Yeah,
there.
man.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview with Zach from the London 40K GT.
I know I did.
It was pretty good. Actually,
It was very informative.
the funny part is his audio quality rocked half the Canadian guests I get on the show. It was awesome.
I have noticed that some people are doing Skype on their phone or something.
Yoshi used a laptop, but
Did he?
the Toronto guys actually tend to have connection issues. I think it's because of all the people that are on this time of night. Anyway, we're going to get on to our main segment, which is top 5 psychic powers in the game. And we decided to open this up to all the books because we figured our list will probably be the same anyway. And
Nope.
But no.
I'm
I have to go to the other
interested to
book.
see how close they are, but
I didn't go to any of the books. I stayed with the main rule stay, unfortunately.
So one thing that I was thinking is it'd be interested because I play from an Eldar perspective. Josh has played Eldar, he plays from a Necron perspective. So his point of view would be what psychic powers he's scared to play against with Necrons. Same with Logan. Like what psychic... I guarantee I know which one's number 1 for him because what's the thing that screws Tau over? You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of neat. So we'll start off...
Keep in mind I also play demons as well, so how can I screw other people?
I meant competitively.
Yeah.
I've never seen you really play demons. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're going to start with number 5, and we'll give it to our guest of honor.
Number 5. I actually stuck with the main rule book for these. I didn't want to dwell too much into every other rule book. So that's where mine's going to differ. And Chris is right. I'm taking it from more of a Necron perspective more than anything else. And these are the ones that really I tend to fear against. And since I really can't manifest any psychic powers with Necrons, my number 5, Prescience. Prescience is a blessing. It targets a single friendly unit within 12 inches. While this power is in effect, the unit can reroll all failed 2 hits.
Warp Charge 2?
Warp Charge 2. And why I greatly dislike that over Guide is that it's all failed to hit. So shooting and close combat. So you can tag this on with something that has Mastercrafted. If you have somebody who has preferred enemy, it means that you're basically getting all those hits in.
You're rerolling your psychic powers too after that comes off.
Yes, yeah, you were correct. I never even thought of that.
It's good. It's Warp Charge 2.
Warp Charge 2.
That's a lot. That's a lot of dice. You're committing 5 to 6 dice to that to guarantee it off in that one unit you need it to go off on.
It depends.
I play very safe. I'm not going to throw 4 at that. I'm going to throw 6.
No, the Skaven in me says go for broke. I'm throwing as much as I can at it.
I'm going to
Or
use
any of
Paradox and throw 3 at it to get it guaranteed to go off.
Yeah, there's other.
Plus, I mean,
Chaos Space Marines can roll 4 at it. You know what
Yeah,
I
but
mean.
plus we're playing Eldar, so we're going to be re-rolling with the helm anyway. So I mean, it's
Maybe.
yeah.
So I'm going to pass it off to you, Logan.
Number 5. All right, my number 5 is Endurance from Biomancy. So gives your unit a 4-up Feel No Pain, Relentless, and Eternal Warrior.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In my opinion, it's one of the biggest force multipliers that you can get in the game. You get that off on a large unit. A great example is if you have a guard blob squad. Suddenly they're moving and firing las cannons, and they can actually be pretty damn hard to kill unless you've got a bunch of strength 6 shooting. But if you throw other characters in there and whatnot, suddenly you're tanking with Space Wolves or something on the outside of it. You've got T5 Eternal Warrior, 3-up invulnerable save guys with a 4-up Feel No Pain. It's nasty.
So it doesn't give guard +1 toughness, right?
No, it does not.
So if it makes them Eternal Warrior, they still lose Feel No Pain from Strike 6, right?
No. It's not instant death anymore.
That's exactly the newbie question I wanted to answer to.
Is it?
So Eternal Warrior. So Eternal Warrior prevents you from being instant deathed, basically.
But it doesn't say you ignore the rule for instant death.
No,
it says that
but-
you're reduced to 1.
No. So the way that Feel No Pain is negated is if you are hit by an attack that causes instant death.
Okay.
If you do not,
I guess it's how you define cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so the way this works, and the way it's generally ruled anyway, if something doubles out your toughness, it causes instant death by merit of doubling your toughness. If you have Eternal Warrior, you can never be instant deathed, period. So the only thing that causes instant death is literally the special rule, instant death, which is only on force weapons, for the most part.
Ooh. So therefore, you could take a 50-man guard blob, move it with las cannons, put a Blood Angel character in it, and give them Feel No Pain. and then you cast that spell on them every turn with as many dice as possible, and the Eldar Jet Bikes cry.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, you don't even need the Blood Angel guy at that point, right? Because this gives you the 4+ Feel No Pain, which is better than the Sanguinary Priest, but...
Oh yeah, I completely... You're right, I'm retarded.
Yeah,
okay, yes,
normal
yes.
Feel No Pain would still be negated without Eternal Warrior, though.
Yeah.
Because that was something that was brought up, because I actually played it wrong in one of our battle reports, where my Chaos Lord got doubled out, but should have had Eternal Warrior, so he should have gotten his Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
I don't use this lore at all, so I'm a total noob with it. So I'm glad you brought that up. Cool, so I guess we'll go into my number 5. This power is Kickass. It should maybe be an honorable mention, but I picked from the Sanguinary Discipline, Fear of the Darkness. 12-inch range, 1 warp charge, -2 leadership test, and runaway morale check. That's good.
Not bad.
That's really good. And then, so a lot of people say, well, it's 12-inch range, that's kind of crappy, but when we talked about our last show was, what are Blood Angels good at? So if I'm playing Blood Angels, I'm taking this power, what are they good at? Well, they deep strike, they don't scatter, they get in your grill, lots of characters, you can put Mephiston in there, he already gets one of the powers from that, so if you put the rest on it, then Mephiston automatically gets the default, plus all the other powers. I think it's really awesome. You go, hey bud, run off the table, shoot that unit, charge them. I think it's really, really good. I think Blood Angel players need to exploit that more, and the only downside of it is it's not the signature. If that was the signature spell, I would literally play a double CAD Blood Angels with 4 of those guys in drop pods. So it's probably good it's not. But
What number is it on the list?
1.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what number it is, right? If you've got an equal chance of rolling it.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. But I read that spell because I went through all the lores today to do this, and I picked like a list of 9, or I think I got up to 12, but I culled a few of like spells that I was like, I want those. If I made a Chris lore, these would be the 6 in my lore. So that's what I did. Okay, so we'll move on to you, Josh, number 4.
All right. Yeah. It's kind of funny that these are the ones that you want, and these are the ones that I hate.
Yeah.
Literally the exact opposite. All right, number 4, I've taken from Divination, and it's Perfect Timing.
Oh, me too.
Ooh,
me
nice.
too.
So Perfect Timing is a blessing, warp charge 1. It targets the Psyker. Whilst the power is in effect, the Psyker and his units' weapons have the ignore cover special rule.
So good.
So dirty.
Tau don't care, but the rest of us, so good.
Yeah, Honey Badger don't care.
No, my Tau don't care. The reason, so this one actually isn't on my list at all, and the reason it isn't is because of White
You play
Scars. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that I play Tau. It's the fact that every army that needs ignores cover now has easy access to it without needing a psychic power. Guard have it through orders, and they can even give it to their vehicles now. Space Marines have it through the Hunter's Eye, and Tau have it through their own stuff, and Demons don't need it. So there isn't much out there that actually can make use of it anymore.
Reason I put it as 4
What's that?
is quite simply when I play Ravenwing, this matter. If I don't roll this power, this matters. This if I don't get this power against Ravenwing, the game got twice as hard.
I'll give you
That's
that.
it.
This one is big for Eldar. Because they don't. Yeah, it's unshrouded, right? So reveal does nothing. So yeah, okay. I'll give you that. That's huge for Eldar.
Like huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. Okay, so what's your number 4, Logan?
My number 4 is Psychic Shriek. I think most people probably put this one lower down, but it's one of the most versatile spells, and even against high leadership models, it has the potential to just be absolutely devastating. Your average roll is not necessarily going to hurt leadership 10, but you roll just slightly above average, you're ripping things apart. Like, it's not uncommon to get 4 or 5 wounds on something like a Riptide with this.
Well, spoiler, this is my 3, so I'll just go first now. It's only a 3. It's fantastic. I've won games at Adepticon with this by just screaming monstrous creatures off the board. Farseer literally kills like 1 or 2 a turn if you're lucky. Not 2, but you know what I mean. 1 or 2 per game if you're lucky. Maybe 3. I just hate that you have to roll to hit. I've made so many lists where I spam this with like cheaper psychers and they're just not hitting on 2s. And like it comes up so often, you have to use your precious psychic dice, and that's why I put it higher than you. But that's why it didn't make a 1 or a 2.
That's why you gotta use prescience.
Yeah. I mean, this thing is nasty, especially if you run like demon flying monstrous creature spam. It's nasty to have 4 or 5 guys casting this at you.
Yeah, and they're ballistic skill 5, right?
Yeah.
BS5.
So that makes it way better. Now, how many dice do you roll to hit? It doesn't say. Can I roll 8? No, you roll 1.
It's one single shot.
Okay, so that was my number 3. What's your number 3, Logan? We'll
Mine-
skip you last, I think.
Okay, we'll do Josh last. My number 3 is
Oh,
Cursed Earth. And again, it's a little bit of demon bias on this, but it is an incredibly versatile spell. And again, it's a huge force multiplier because there's so many things you can stack this with.
What does it do?
So Cursed Earth is a
I know, but-
12-inch bubble from the caster that gives you a +1 to your demon invulnerable save, and any demon that deep strikes within that bubble does not scatter at all. So this is really, really good if you've got deep striking plague bearers, plague drones, what have you, or deep striking anything. But it also works for summoning, right? Because normally you have to pick a point within 12 inches and then they scatter. Now they don't scatter. You can get those demons exactly where you want them to run around that Imperial Knight and stick them there for a turn. Or do whatever you need to do with them. But the +1 invul is just absolutely enormous. It helps you offset Warp Storm, helps you buff Warp Storm rolls. If you get the +1 invul, what is it, the 11 result? You get the +1, suddenly you're sitting on a +2 invul, your demons have a 3-up invulnerable save base. If you stack this with the Grimoire, you've got a 2+ invul on any demon. It's really, really good. It's a great force multiplier, and because it is an aura, basically, you can move around and basically put it on whatever you want and benefit multiple.
Especially if the guy's on a disc or he's flying, that guy can cover a lot of board space.
Exactly.
So good. I agree. You're number 3.
My number 3. Actually, another demonology, but this one's Sanctic, and it's Gate of Infinity. And if anybody has played me with Necrons for the past year, I love my Veil of Darkness. Never leave home without it. It has been my game saver. And so what Gate of Infinity does is that it turns it basically into a psychic power. And Gate of Infinity is a blessing that targets the Psyker. Unless that target is swimming or swooping, remove the target and his unit from the board. It then immediately arrives anywhere on the board using the rules for Deep Strike. So basically what that does is it gets me where I need to be at the very end, either at the very end of the game, for that Maelstrom, for that objective that I need. You name it. It's if I need to be within rapid fire distance for something, anything. It's such a good tool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially,
It's on a good lore too. It's a lot of good spells that are. So if you're not wasting by fishing for it,
It's on Demonology, so most people aside from Grey Knights aren't really using it that much. But I always love One Trick Pony.
well, Space Marines. Everybody has.
Everybody has
Access to
access to it, but I mean, who's going to risk the doubles for perils?
Well, you friggin' put. Well, you don't doubles on that one. You only doubles on the summoning.
yeah, it's only.
Isn't it for Demonology?
Just demonology,
It's Malefic.
Malefic.
It's
Malefic now?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
So like you got a 50-man guard blob, full of plasma guns. You can teleport them. I'm just kidding. You
No,
wouldn't
it's
do
really
that.
good. I mean, if you take Drago, you get Gate automatically, which is fantastic. Plus Drago is just a beast. And then you're getting rolls on Sanctic, so maybe you're getting a +1 invul save as well. Like if you take Stern, you can get it. I think he gets it automatically. He gets Sanctuary. So you take Drago, Stern, and I don't know, Tiggy or something. And you
Thunder
basically
Hammer, Storm
got-
Shield, Terminator.